Thanks, Ben, and thanks everyone for joining us. Hope everyone's safe and well. After a few weeks of a modified schedule, we're finally into a normal routine week for us. The last couple of weeks we've had to change our schedule a little bit by going on Sundays, which is traditionally our players' day off. And so we were able to get back onto a normal schedule with them being off on Sunday for some needed recovery, and then got back to work Monday, putting the Penn State game behind us early, and then turning our attention to a great opportunity against a strong Ohio State team coming into the Shell this week. As I said, Saturday was a great team win for our players, but not just for our players. And as I've said, being a fan of Maryland my entire life growing up, for our fan base as well as for former Terps that have endured the streak of playing Penn State and not playing as competitively as we would like. So it was a great opportunity, great win for our players and for Terp Nation to get a win. But as we talk about all the time, we've put that game to bed and have put all of our attentions and efforts into Ohio State, which is obviously a formidable opponent, a top 2 team in the country, coming in here to the Shell this week. And our players are excited about this opportunity. We've seen our team continue to make progress, and I can tell you, I'm sure there are a lot of people on this call that are surprised by what you've seen, but I can tell you our team, we're not as surprised because we have started forming the habits and behaviors that we talk about that you need to have to be successful. Now, the goal for us and the job that I have and we have as a team and as a program is to find a way to put this formula together each and every week consistently. And that's, to me, as I've said to you guys on this call before, the challenge when you have a young team and like we have is just getting the routine of what it takes and those habits. We have a saying that, as you start to form habits, your habits start to form you. And I see that happening with our team. And I'm just hoping that we can get the consistency, which is typically the last thing to come. And I still feel that, as a team, we're just starting to scratch the surface and that our best football is hopefully still ahead of us. So it's a tremendous opportunity to go against an Ohio State team averaging over 46 points and 500 yards a game, tremendous team speed and skill all across the field, but a great opportunity for us to go out and do a great job. Before I take questions, our captains for this week is Dante Demas, Mo Kite, and then Dante Demas, Mo Kite. Who was my third captain today? I'll get back to you on the third captain because I totally forgot who it was. Dante Demas, Mo Kite. Jordan Mosley, number 18. So those are our 3 captains leading us at home against Ohio State. And with that, I'll take questions.
We'll start with Alex Stacey.
Hey, Coach. Could you just talk a little bit about Chance Campbell? He's taken a pretty big step forward this year and is now leading the team in tackles. So what have you seen from him growth-wise? And also just to sort of bounce off that with Ohio State coming up, how are you going to use him to try to slow down Ohio State's very prolific offense?
Yeah, Chance has been really one of the consistent players for us on the defensive side of the ball. And, I can equate that to hopefully the experience that he's gained being around here as a starter the last couple of years. I think last year was maybe the first year as a starter, but he played quite a bit the last couple of years as a young player. And what we're starting to see out of Chance is this, the consistency in how he plays. And, he's been a huge bright spot, a huge leader for us on the field. He's made a ton of plays for us, which in our scheme, the position he plays, the Mike linebacker is kind of the quarterback on our defense. And he's one of those guys that brings the juice each and every day. He's reckless with his body. He plays with great effort, great passion, all the pillars that we have in our program. He represents the way he plays the game and the way he prepares. So good to see him show and lead by example, especially with a young team. And it's great to have him on our side and doing great things. He played a big time game last week, scoring on defense, which I thought was kind of a huge momentum play for us to kind of put the nail in the coffin in that game. So excited how Chance has played, and looking forward to him continuing to play that way for us.
We'll go to Emily.
Hi, Mike. Looking at the offensive line and just what they've done from last year to this year, what have you seen as far as their growth, and then particularly like the job John Reagan has done and given that group some consistency from year to year?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, one, as I have said many times on this call, we played those guys really early in their careers. When you look at Jalen Duncan, pretty much being a 2-year starter now as a redshirt sophomore, that's the one position group where the earlier these guys play, usually you don't see and get the results you like to have, because that's a position where experience is a must as they add, as I like to say, to their toolbox of experience. And, I think with the skill set of guys like Jalen Duncan and Spencer Anderson, and, like I said before, having Johnny Jordan back, kind of anchoring us in the middle, and the addition of guys like Jahari Branch and moving Marcus Minor inside, as well as the development of Evan Gregory, that group to me is our most improved position group thus far. From where they were last year to this year, I think the experience and the game experience that they got going through last season and playing obviously in one of the toughest conferences in college football really helps with their development. And so I like what I see. We still don't have the depth at that position group that we need to have to really have the foundation of success for longevity. And we've got to kind of get that fixed through recruiting, which we feel like we have with bringing in some of the young players like DJ Glaze and Emilio Moran, Marcus Finger, and those guys that we've added that are still in that developmental stage. And, we'll continue to try to improve that position and get the consistency that they've shown so far, 3 games in.
And then just quickly, we talk about Jake Funk all the time, and you always mention how you offered him when you were the interim coach late in the process. But apart from just kind of his record-setting high school career, was there anything you saw in him that made you think, I really want this guy to be part of the program?
Well, I think he embodies the DNA of the DMV. And, for me, everybody knows I'm really partial to this area, and I've got a lot of faith and belief in the type of football that's played in this region of the country. I've been able over 30 years career to utilize this area of the country to help build other programs like Illinois, where we went to the Rose Bowl with 18 guys from this area, going down to Florida with Coach Zook and taking some players from this area, as well as what we've been able to do at Alabama when I was there, bringing guys from this area to help build those programs. So it's just the respect I have for the type of football that's played in this area, the respect I have for the high school coaches and all the trainers that have done a tremendous job. For years when I grew up, this was known as a basketball area, and it used to piss me off a little bit because we have good football being played in this region of the country, and now everybody kind of sees it and knows it. So, the thing attracted me to Jake was that when you play at a high level in this area of the country and you do the things he did in high school, that's enough on film for me to say it translates over to how they'll be as a college player. And obviously the last couple of weeks, it's really shown now that Jake is getting that opportunity.
We'll go to Scott Abraham.
Hey, Coach Locks. Hope all is well. Do you view this Ohio State game as almost like a measuring stick for your program?
Every game is that for us, because as I told you, the thing that I'm trying to prepare us for, and the thing I'm trying to get out of our team is consistency. And for me, the measuring stick is very rarely based on who we play, but based on what we do. And so as a head coach and as the guy that's leading this thing, the measuring stick for me starts with, are we playing to the standard that we set for ourselves? And usually it's never really about our opponent. It's more about what the Terps do and how we go about with our habits and behaviors. And I really like where we are in terms of the habits and the behaviors that we created. And I'm starting to see those carry over to, from week to week. But as I said last week, and, for me, I cross my fingers all the time that, it's like Christmas every Saturday with this team because of the youth that we have. But what I found is this youth has kind of served us well the last couple of weeks because they're just young and dumb enough to not really know what's happening right before their eyes. And, as a coaching staff, we love that piece of our team, but we also have some veteran leadership of guys that have been through a lot during their time here. And now they get the taste of a little bit of success. And I'm hoping those two worlds collide with the youth and the vets. And we just continue to show the consistency in what the standard that we set, and that we can go meet it and play to it every Saturday. So to me, that's the measuring stick, is that we play to our standard that we set, which we've done, I think, the last couple of weeks, but obviously haven't done all three.
Also, every game this season, Coach, your team's been viewed as big underdogs. I mean, double-digit underdogs. Is that insulting or motivation?
Well, the bad part is I never really know about it until you bring it up like you did just now. And, I don't get into reading the, tea leaves of what people think about us because, I'm one of these mindset guys. I like the mental part of how you prepare your team. And the one thing I've learned is whether it's good or bad, it doesn't help you in your preparation or help you in your how you go out and play when you read or hear positive or negative things. So our big word we use is try to stay neutral, which means not as high or as low as everybody else may be around us. But for us, take care of business for today, reset, go back to neutral, and then stack those days and stack those plays and stack those experiences. So for me, it's not insulting because we really don't concern ourselves with the opinions of others. It's about the standard in which we want to play and how we see ourselves. And that's really important. That's the mindset that we've got to instill and that we've got to get out of our team each and every week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Go to Andy.
Hey, Coach. Is Rakim Jarrett ever satisfied with where he is talent-wise, or is he kind of a sponge for information, just always looking to improve?
No, Rock is one of those guys that, as I said, I've known him kind of since 8th grade, 7th grade. He's been one of these guys that a lot like some of the other big-time local players that have played here, from Lolo and Anthony McFarland and all these local, Pee Wee League legends that these guys are, and they have a following. And the one thing I'll say about all those guys, and Rock kind of has the same, I'll use the word again, DNA, that he wants to be the best, and his character really shows through how he prepares. He's not one of those guys that likes to get stroked a lot about how great he is, and he's kind of a loner. He's constantly in the film room. He's constantly with the quarterbacks. All the great ones I've been around they're like gym rats, and every day they're looking for an edge or a way to improve or a way to get better. And he fits right along with the rest of those guys that I've seen over my 30 years that have ended up being great players and have made and created value for themselves with the little brown ball. And I see those same characteristics in him. And, I'm excited that the best is still ahead for him and for our program as we keep pushing through this growth phase of Maryland football.
Darren Haynes.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering, you were talking about the mentality, and I'm wondering if you can kind of take us inside your locker room. This is a competitive sport, and you always like that new challenge, and you guys have had success. What's the mindset of you guys in that locker room right now, knowing this big test that you have coming up?
It's the same mindset that we have each and every week, Darren, and that's the piece where, it's tough sometimes when you're a young program that's in a growth phase, because what you don't want and what you want to guard against is that the mindset changes based on who's coming in town. And for us, it's more about us than it is about the opponent. And I know you guys get tired of hearing it, and it sounds like coach speak, but it's really going to be about us being consistent with the habits, behaviors, how we prepare. We can't say, it's Ohio State, the number 2 team this week, and so all of a sudden we're going to get jacked up. Like I said last week, going into Penn State, it would have been very easy for me because of my feelings toward Penn State and growing up a Maryland fan, just, how we feel and get emotional about playing them. And, and I've done that before as a coach, for a game like that. But what I've learned is very few times do I make good decisions when I'm emotional. So to be very calculated in how we approach things, to stay very regimented in our processes each and every week is the important piece. And you can't change it or shouldn't differentiate based on who you play, because it becomes what we call our standard, and that standard shouldn't change. And that's what we try to fight for, and that's the goal. You'll know we've arrived when that thing is really consistent. And right now we're still in that growth phase of trying to make it consistent. And, you know, our players have bought in, and you're starting to see, you know, as we form our habits, the habits start to form who we become as a team. And I like the direction, but, you know, I am very guarded against us feeling as though we're a program that's arrived, because we haven't, and we're not that program just yet.
Dave Ginsburg.
Hey, Coach, you talked about it briefly in your opening, but what about the challenge of facing this offense? Your defense was marvelous last Saturday, but previously not so much. The challenge of facing an Ohio State team that seemingly moves the ball at will, at least it has these first 3 games.
Yeah, you know, again, I would say we definitely didn't play great defense, offense, or special teams game 1. I thought game 2, our defense started to turn the corner and became opportunistic in the 4th quarter and late in the game against Minnesota. And what I saw us is hopefully we took that and it led into how we started and how we finished, I thought, on the defensive side of the ball in the Penn State game. And, you know, we played a lot of young players on that side of the ball. And I think with each and every game, you'll see us continue to get better and better in all 3 phases. Because like I said, when you look across the board and you see guys that were on the yellow school bus 6 months ago, and these guys are running out of the shell and into the shell and playing top 5 teams and top 10 teams week in and week out, that just – which is why I feel so good about that. I think we still haven't played our best football, and it's still ahead of us, because with every game, these guys get more and more experience, and the experience of playing is the only way you grow as a program. And so, excited about the opportunity. You know, obviously Ohio State poses a great challenge, and not just offense, but all 3 phases. You know, they got a quarterback that's I've known and having recruited him out of high school, and was a part of recruiting him out of high school, that I've gotten to know over the years, and to see his development as a player, and, you know, NFL caliber guy. They've got running backs. They've got offensive tackles and guards that are NFL caliber players. Their D-line and front 7 on defense, first-round draft picks in the secondary. So they pose issues all across the board. And for us, that's the great thing about playing in this conference. And that's why you recruit guys to come play here at Maryland, is you're going to play against the best week in and week out. And I know, again, the challenge for us is being consistent in how we approach it, and realizing that it's a great opportunity to go against some of the best players in the country this coming Saturday here at home.
Go to Ed.
Mike, is there anything about Nick Cross's development that maybe you may not have anticipated thus far?
No, I think Nick has been right on schedule. I mean, you know, last year, you know, we started a little slow, maybe coaches more than Nick, in that we were very calculated in how we played him early, and then we forced ourselves to put him on the field, to let him learn, you know, by going through the process or throwing him to the fire. And we're benefiting from it this year because of how much he played last season, and you're starting to see him do the things that of why we recruited him and why was as highly recruited of players, that his ability in the deep part of the field and his range and ability to get to the ball because of his speed, and then also just the blanket of security he offers of getting the ball down on the ground if it breaks open as the safety, have really shown up here. You know, game 1, he'll be the first to tell you, and we were not very happy with his production and how he played, as with a lot of the positions that we have. But I really like the way he bounced back in game 2 as well as last week, and really created some plays on defense with the strip fumble, the interception, the tackles that really helped our defense. And I think, you know, our defense will go as Nick goes, because he has big playability on the back end, and he's starting to really show the consistency that you want to see out of a big-time player.
What has he done differently from the first game to the past 2 games?
I mean, I think it's just been his approach. You know, I thought the first game, just I didn't think he played fast. We saw him not necessarily pull the trigger on some things, maybe a little hesitant. And, we benched him. He wound up, you guys may not have noticed, but he didn't start game 2. And it was by coach's decision because we didn't think he played well. And we want to create competition every opportunity we can. And that each and every week, guys have to play to the standard. And if you're not playing to the standard, and we've created some depth at certain positions where it's allowed us to do things like that. And I still think the biggest way to motivate a player is by putting him on the bench if he's not playing to the standard or at the level. And I like the way he responded, and he's worked his way back as a starter for us the last few games or the last game and made huge plays. So now the key is, will we get it consistently? And that's where we keep talking about having the right kind of habits that it takes and playing to our standard. And he did that last week, and we're hoping we can get that out of him this week as well.
Thank you.
Take 2 more. We'll go to Lila.
Hey, Lox, how are you?
Hey, Lila, how are you?
Good. You've talked a lot just throughout the season about the kind of self-leadership and belief that this team has in each other. And I know that's kind of something hard to achieve with any team, but especially just given how many new players you guys have. Just when you were recruiting this group, what were you looking for kind of beyond talent to be able to make sure that kind of fit meshed?
I mean, we've got a formula that we look at. I'm a big believer that you want to recruit self-starters. You want to recruit guys that have the right kind of character, the right kind of stuff. There's a lot of great players that, not just in this area, but across the country. But, a lot of them are great, but don't necessarily work at being great. Some of it is natural. And we're always looking for what we call the smart, tough, and reliable guys. And then obviously putting a premium on guys that like to win and guys that come from winning. Because just like, winning is a habit, so is losing. And as you want to change and shape the culture of your program, and for us, it's a marathon, not a sprint, to really build this program so that it can have the consistency of some of the great programs in the country. I think the more guys you bring in that have been around winning and understand, there's a very small line or margin of error between being winners and losers. And I think the difference is that winners just always make the right choices and decisions, and they never really give up. Whereas you see some guys, when they lose, they're right on the cusp of winning, but maybe don't always make the right decisions or choices. And so as many guys, as much research as we can do on guys, that they're smart, tough, reliable, that they've got the right kind of character, that they love the game. It's huge that you got to enjoy, this isn't one of those games where, you say, hey, let's go shoot 30 hoops and, you get instant gratification. Well, in football, you don't hear guys say, let's go run into each other 50 times out in the backyard and know that you gain anything from it until you actually do it against a competition. So we want guys that love playing the game. We want guys that are smart, tough, reliable. We want guys that have the right kind of character of what it takes and the right kind of habits. And those are the intangible pieces. And, they may not always be 5-star, 4-stars, but, I've had a lot of success with some of these 2-stars that fit fit those characteristics and formulas that we're looking for, that end up being really, really big time players for us.
And how have you seen kind of that belief in each other and chemistry form, especially just starting with having to be over Zoom over the summer to now?
Yeah, our team has shown great maturity in how we've had to, we've been through a lot, the pauses, the stops, the start going, the unknowns, the moving into the hotel, just awful, been through a lot, lack of spring practices with 56 new faces, but never once have we looked and just talked about the problem. I mean, we are a solution-based program, so we're always looking for finding answers to how to overcome it. And I think that mindset has served us well as we've continued to grow together. And it's starting to come together. It's not completely there yet. We got a lot of work to do. I'm glad our team has been able to have some early success based on our standards, but there's a lot of football left to be played. We're still crossing our fingers that every day, dealing with, the things outside of our control, whether it's health or whether it's COVID, whether it's, any other things that are going on, that we just got to focus on maximizing each and every day that we get and take full advantage of it, and then do it again, go to neutral, and come back and do it again the next day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For our final one, we'll go to Heather McDonough.
Hey, Coach, I guess it's a credit to how well a lot of the guys are playing right now, because I don't think anybody has specifically asked about Talia in the time that we've been here. For better or for worse, the quarterback is center of attention, gets the praise, gets the negative comments. After seeing what happened week 1 and now growing in week 2 and week 3 with the wins, I guess what stood out to you the most about him, and what do fans need to know about him, be it the play on the field, the work he's putting in behind the scenes? What should fans know about this quarterback that has a lot of people excited right now?
I think, one, it starts with his competitiveness. This is a guy that is uber competitive. Really a student of the game. We always say he has the mind of a coach, but the actions of a player. He wants to know why. He's one of those guys. He's always in the offices. He's always around. He's always watching. He's shown just the moxie that you want from the position, where his leadership isn't always, out in front, but you see bits and pieces of it when he jumps a receiver for not doing something the right way, but does it in a way that the receiver receives it the right way. This is a guy that has a lot on his plate, man. And I, having, even dealing with my own kids, when, you are the family member of somebody that kind of has a name or some recognition, and the fact that he has the Tonga Vailoa last name, and how he handles that piece of it. He is just a worker bee. He wants to earn everything he gets. And, those are all the little things that behind the scenes, everybody thinks it's, he's, Tua's little brother, but no, he's Leah, and he's carving out a nice little niche for himself as a football player and in our program, and we're certainly excited that we have him on our team. And as I said with the rest of them, this is still his 4th career start. So we're just starting to scratch the surface. We got a long way to go. He is still, like the rest of our program, and even me as a coach, in the growth phase of building this program. And that's why I always say that, the best is ahead for Maryland football. And, we're going to do it the right way and build it the right way. And it may not always be as pretty as our fans and everybody would like to see it be, but we're working every day to get it to that point as quickly as we can. And Leah's leading the charge for us.
Just to quickly follow, you mentioned Tua. He seems to embrace it. I mean, he wore the jersey. It's not just like he's Leah's little brother, and you kind of talked about it, but he almost seems to embrace it, like wearing the jersey and acknowledging, sure, my brother is an NFL, I guess, rising star at this point. Just can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, anybody that knows the Tonga Vailoa family knows that family comes first, and it's the same way. Tua is a huge Leah fan. I talk to Tua just about every Thursday night. He usually calls when Leah and I are going through our game plan stuff and FaceTime, and he's as proud and as happy as Leah. The mom and dad are splitting time, being here for games and rushing to go see Tua play. But no, it's a genuine, their culture and how family and faith is really, really important, serves that relationship really well. And I've had a chance to see it for a lot of years now, having been a part of coaching and recruiting Tua to Bama, and then the process of recruiting Leah to Bama, and then him to here. So there's no doubt that just the way their family is, they're all supportive, and there's no pressure on him to be Tua, or there's no pressure for Tua to, push Leah. They are self-motivated, but very prideful about the product that they put on the field, representing not just their family name, but obviously Leah with Maryland and now Tua with Miami. So great family. And like I said, glad that we've got Leah in our program.
Thanks, Coach.